All right, get ready to dive deep. Today, we're tackling transcranial electrical stimulation.
Or TES for short.
Right, TES. Think of it as like fine-tuning your brain.
With a little electrical nudge.
Exactly.
And we're going way beyond the basics here. We've got count them, three scientific papers.
Wow, a trio of science.
And even a Wikipedia entry on connectomics to really get into the nitty-gritty of how researchers are optimizing this stuff.
Okay, so we're not just talking about zapping the brain.
Nope.
We're looking at precision, personalization, how TES could be used to like
Boost cognitive function, maybe treat neurological disorders, all kinds of stuff.
really fascinating stuff. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves,
Yeah.
can you give us a quick TES 101?
You bet.
Like, what are the main types and how do they even work?
Okay, so the two big players are tDCS.
Okay,
That's Transcranial Direct Current Stimulation.
got it.
And tACS, Transcranial Alternating Current Stimulation.
Okay, so I'm guessing both of those obviously involve stimulating the brain with electricity.
Yeah, you got it. Both use electrodes on the scalp
Got it?
to deliver a weak electrical current to the brain tissue underneath.
Got it.
But here's where they differ.
Yep.
tDCS is kind of like adjusting the baseline activity of your neurons, making them more or less excitable,
Interesting.
kind of like a volume knob, up or down.
Okay.
But tACS,
Yeah.
think of it as syncing your brain waves to a specific rhythm.
Oh,
It uses alternating current
right.
to entrain brain oscillations, almost like setting a metronome for your neurons.
So tDCS sets the mood
Yeah.
and TCS gets the party started.
Yeah, you could say that.
I like that.
But even with these cool techniques,
Yeah.
there are challenges.
Okay.
One of the biggest is targeting. You see, the skull acts like a resistor,
Oh, right.
making it tricky to precisely stimulate a specific brain area.
That makes sense. It's like, I don't know,
Yeah.
trying to water a tiny plant in a big field.
Yeah.
You need to
You need to really focus.
get the water exactly where it needs to go without drenching everything else.
Yeah, that's a great analogy.
So how do they do it?
Well, that's where these papers get really interesting.
Okay.
They introduce this computational framework called MOVIA.
Movia.
Yeah, multi-objective optimization via evolutionary algorithm.
Okay. That sounds pretty complex.
It is a mouthful,
Yeah.
but think of it this way.
Okay.
MOVIA is like a GPS for brain stimulation.
Okay.
It helps researchers find the optimal way to deliver the electrical current, to really hit that target accurately,
Right.
while minimizing spread to the surrounding areas.
So it's finding like the most efficient route, avoiding neural traffic jam.
Exactly.
I like it.
MOVIA takes into account things like skull thickness,
Right.
individual brain anatomy, even the type of TES,
Okay.
whether it's tDCS or TES.
So it's really smart.
Yeah, to come up with the best stimulation strategy.
That's amazing. So it seems like Movia could really improve the precision of TES. I
Absolutely.
mean, really boost it.
Big time. And we're not even done with the cool tech yet.
There's more.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Our deep dive also covers this other technique called transcranial temporal interference stimulation.
Okay, hold on.
It's a mouthful.
Yeah, that's a lot. Transcranial what?
Temporal interference stimulation.
Okay.
Or tTIS.
tTIS.
tTIS. And think of tTIS like a laser pointer
Okay.
compared to the broader beam of TCS.
Okay.
So it's all about achieving even greater focality,
Wow, okay.
concentrating the stimulation on a very specific area.
So even more precise than TCS.
Precisely.
How does it manage that?
It uses multiple high-frequency electrical fields that interfere with each other in a very specific way.
Okay.
Kind of like overlapping waves, creating a bigger wave at their point of intersection.
Right, right.
And that results in...
Or targeted stimulation.
Exactly.
Wow.
The research we've got here actually shows that tTIS can reduce the activation of brain tissue
Okay.
outside of the target area
Yeah.
by up to 60% compared to TCS.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it's pretty significant.
Okay, so tTIS, game changer
Potentially, yeah.
for TES precision.
Definitely. But hold on, there's another layer to this that's
Okay.
even more interesting.
All right, I'm all ears.
Personalization.
Oh, right. Because no two brains are exactly alike. So
Exactly.
how does TES even address that?
Well, that's where things get really cool.
Okay.
We'll be diving into research that shows how even with the same TES settings, different people experience different outcomes.
Interesting.
And that's where MOVIA, our brain GPS, comes back into play.
So MOVI is the key to making TES more personalized.
It plays a big role, yeah. We'll unpack how MOVIA helps create tailored stimulation protocols
Okay.
that take into account individual differences in brain anatomy and physiology.
So it's like TES treatments as unique as our fingerprints.
Exactly. But before we get into that, let's take a little detour
Okay.
and explore something called connectomics. Remember that Wikipedia entry?
Like the brain's wiring diagram.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Connectomics is all about mapping those intricate neural connections in the brain.
Okay.
And understanding this map can be incredibly valuable for optimizing TES.
Yeah, I can see how knowing the brain's roadmap could lead to even more targeted stimulation.
Exactly. It gets even more exciting.
Oh.
But we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's take a breath and come back to this amazing world of brain stimulation after a quick break.
So before the break, we were talking about connectomics, right?
Yeah, the brain's wiring diagram.
Okay, so how does that play into optimizing TES?
It's all about understanding the intricate pathways of the brain. Like if we want to deliver a package to a specific address,
Right.
it helps to have a map, right?
Makes sense.
So connectomics is basically providing that map for the brain.
So instead of just sending electrical signals randomly,
Yeah,
we can use connectomics to pinpoint the most effective routes.
precisely. It's like having a GPS for your neural pathways. By understanding how different brain regions are connected, researchers can target specific circuits involved in,
Yeah.
memory, attention, motor control, all sorts of things.
That's incredible. So connectomics, it's like a game changer for TES.
It definitely is.
Yeah.
But let's not forget about individual variability.
Right, because even with a detailed map, the same route might not be the most efficient for everyone.
Exactly. Everyone's brain is unique.
Right.
So how do we personalize TES to account for these differences?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Well, this is where MOVIA, our brain GPS, really shines. It helps researchers take individual brain scans and create personalized stimulation protocols
Okay.
that are tailored to each person's unique anatomy.
So it's like customizing the route based on traffic conditions and road closure.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome.
MOVIA can adjust the intensity, the duration, even the electrode placement
Right.
to make sure that electrical current reaches the intended target with maximum precision,
Okay.
minimal spread.
So personalized TES is like having a custom tailored suit.
You got it.
Perfect fit.
Perfect fit. And to really illustrate this, our source dives into these findings from research conducted on the Human Connectome Project dataset.
Okay.
They studied 8 subjects who underwent both tECS and tTIS. And what they found was that the most effective stimulation policies
Yeah.
varied significantly from person to person.
So even with a small group, there wasn't like a one-size-fits-all solution.
Nope, not at all. What worked for one person might not work for another.
Makes sense.
And this highlights the need for individualization.
Okay, so we've established personalization is key.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the practical applications of all this. Like, how is TES being used today?
Well, it's being explored for a wide range of applications.
Like what?
On the cognitive enhancement front,
Okay.
studies are showing that it can improve attention,
Real.
memory, even learning abilities.
So could TES potentially help students study more effectively?
Potentially, yeah. More research is definitely needed,
Sure.
but those initial findings are promising.
That's exciting. What about treating neurological conditions?
Yeah, TES is being investigated as a potential treatment for a bunch of different conditions, like
my God.
stroke, Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's disease.
Those are some serious conditions.
They are.
So how is TES being used in those cases?
Well, it depends on the specific condition, right?
Okay.
For example, in stroke rehabilitation,
Yeah.
the goal is often to promote neuroplasticity.
Neuroplasticity, that's the brain's ability to kind of rewire itself.
Exactly. So if a stroke has damaged a certain area of the brain, let's say responsible for movement,
Okay.
TES might be applied to stimulate surrounding areas and encourage them to kind of pick up the slack, so to speak.
So it's like helping the brain find a workaround.
Yeah, a new neural pathway to bypass the damage.
I like that analogy. And does that same principle apply to other conditions?
Yeah, it can, although the target areas in the brain would be different. So with Parkinson's, for example,
Yeah.
researchers are exploring TES to modulate activity in the basal ganglia.
Right, which is involved in movement control.
Exactly.
What about Alzheimer's? That one seems pretty challenging.
It is. Alzheimer's is a complex disease,
Yeah.
but some researchers are investigating whether TES could be used to enhance memory function,
Okay.
potentially by targeting areas like the hippocampus.
Right, the hippocampus.
Yeah.
The brain's memory center.
Exactly. Plays a key role in forming and retrieving memories.
So it's not a cure for Alzheimer's,
No, definitely not.
but it could potentially slow cognitive decline.